Holy moly. I have never, ever had anything get the kind of traction that this has gotten over the last day. I just did the video yesterday. But I'm glad that everybody's seeing the concerns with it, as I also am. I wanted to go ahead and use this opportunity to discuss a couple things. Not promising it's going to be short, guys. Hang with me if you want. I'll try to make something shorter and sweeter after I spit it out initially. So, because the first video was long, not everybody got to the important part of what was wrong with the user agreement, what was a red flag for me. And it wasn't the arbitration, although concerning, but not unusual. The concern was more about the data protections or lack thereof within that user agreement. The language that was used was very interesting, and I'm going to put a screenshot of it up right now. I ran the terms of the agreement through ChatGPT because what I wanted to know is, are these terms as red flaggy as they seem? Because reading it as a non-legal professional, there's some things that even myself am like, this sounds pretty broad in the ways that they're saying that they have access to use my data. So I posed the question to ChatGPT: is your data, and then the terms that were outlined there, an unreasonable and unusual amount of access for a financial institution to access in a user agreement? And this is what ChatGPT said. They said, yes, the level of access granted in this clause is both unusual and concerning for a financial services agreement. Here's why. Number one, unreasonable scope of data access. The clause explicitly includes passwords, account information, and registration details, which are highly sensitive. Financial service providers typically use encrypted or tokenized data rather than requiring broad perpetual rights to user data. Number two, perpetual and irrevocable rights. Perpetual and irrevocable means you can never take back the data you share, even if you stop using the service. Standard agreements often limit data usage and the duration of service or legally required retention periods. If you close your account, JH may still retain and use your data forever. Number three, sublicensable and transferable rights. Sublicensable and transferable means JH can grant others the right to use your data or sell access to third parties. Most financial institutions limit data sharing to essential functions, not broad sublicensing. And number four, royalty-free usage. You receive no compensation for how JH uses your data, even if it benefits financially from analytics, partnerships, and other services. That's not unusual. We're used to having our data, financially compensated elsewhere besides ourselves, right? Number five, industry norms versus this agreement. More typical agreements. Financial institutions usually claim limited rights to use data only to provide services, improve security, or comply with legal obligations within that user agreement that are outlined. This does not do that. This agreement goes far beyond what's necessary for financial transactions, raising concerns about data monetization and privacy risk. Conclusion: this clause is unusual and overreaching. This agreement grants excessive permanent control over user data far beyond what is typically necessary for a financial service. It lacks clear limitations on how data can be used, shared, or retained. Okay, so all of that to say that it's not usual how they're wanting to use this data. So then it asked me if I wanted them to craft a formal assertive request that I can send to Jack Henry or my financial institution regarding the data usage terms. I said yes. I also asked for a script for making phone calls, which I am going to include here. This is the request for clarification on data usage terms in banking agreements. Take a screenshot. This is a script that you can use to have a phone conversation with someone from, if it's, Jay Henry that is crafting your user agreement, or if it's someone else, you can use similarly, just change the name. It's important for us to be mindful that our data is the new currency, and especially this technology-driven economy. And there are increasing pushes to codify what they are allowed to do, which has coincidentally sent me down a new rabbit hole that I am going to be doing some research, doing some other videos on in the future. But it has to do with privacy and data protection as a fundamental right. And it's going through the history of privacy, but also of data protection, since it's pretty new on the scene. But also the difference between having it considered a fundamental human right to our privacy and data protection, as opposed to market-driven laws that are getting put in place, which is what we're seeing now. That's what this is. So I will be doing those in the future. I can't guarantee those are going to be short either, guys, but I'm going to do my best. Keep working on those attention spans. Stay with me. I'll let you know what I find out.